Hello guys. You know that game, the Between the Two Fires, or whatever it's called, when the two sides are aiming a ball at the people in the middle until there is no more players left in the field? When you are a reporter between a riot and whatever they are rioting against, the chances are you're going to get hit by something, but not because you were what they were aiming at. We went to quite a number of protests back in the day, my dad and I, when I dubbed as his photographer. He could have easily done it himself, but he wanted me to learn the trade from a very tender age. I don't remember things ever being violent, because it was an event enough if workers of some factory or members of some guild or any kind of faction of disgruntled individuals gathered and their representatives read out the list of complaints and then they bargained, and there was maybe a pamphlet here and there, but their presence was enough. They then sat down and negotiated. Journalists were welcomed, often given coffee and biscuits and the like, because the press coverage made all the difference. I was so used to these civil, constructive and rare, oftentimes quite traumatic to the readers and the viewers, happenings, that the next time I tried to photograph a riot, I nearly got hit by a Molotov first thing in. Riots were something completely different then. Riots were when an army of completely brain-dead drunk football hooligans swarmed from a train station to the stadium and smashed everything in between. It was considered a natural disaster. These were the Balkan enthusiasts, and you did not get in the way of a Balkan football fan on the way to the game. Or, perish the thought their side lost. No reporter cared much, because back then those weren't considered news. So, years later, G and I are minding our own business, we're chilling, we're traversing, we're traveling, exploring Nepal in awe of its glorious nature and occasionally just incident. Never mind. Random groups of protesters, paid by the Chinese, kept stirring shit up because it was an easy money and you didn't have to do much other than smash a car window here and there and wave a flag. Rarely the sight of them picking on a taxi driver who dared to drive a tourist, having his car turned over, was anything but a sight of witless thugs picking on random targets. They had nobody's support, nobody believed their screams of join the liberation, nobody believed in their commitment, everybody knew they were being paid. It was usually just people with nothing better to do than enjoy their day in the green light of mindless vandalism. They did overstep once in Kathmandu, however, and people got tired of them. A large crowd gathered, and they began to advance on one another with the riot police trying to slow them down. On the margins, normal street vendor people were selling popcorn and candy floss and balloons. It was a public event. Why not make a buck while you're at it? My instinct, and I swear it was not but my training kicking in, was to immediately pull out the camera and run right in the middle of the clash, ever whoring for that possible Pulitzer shot of teeth and saliva and blood flying around someone's flailing body. I was dragged out of the way just as the rocks and the Molotovs began to rain down, with the G yelling at me, "What the bloody fuck are you doing?" But I was reporting. Look, there's action. Some dumb bitch with a camera calling herself a journalist for the occasion, getting her hair burned off in the middle of a riot is not what the story is about, he scolded me. It would just end up being anything the rest of the world cared about, because nobody cared about them. Did I even know what they were shouting at one another? That's the exact thing that the G asked me. Do you know what they're saying? Do you understand their language enough to understand what they're yelling? They did not come here for you to get your clicks and your views. You are not the story here.